Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about the C-130 ski transport cargo plane that is used to refill and resupply Antarctic bases. Please remember to like and subscribe. Alright, Fact 1. Converted C-130. From an initial look of this airplane, you could tell it is very similar or almost exactly the same except the undercarriage to the C-130 cargo plane. And that is not a mistake. This is simply a derivative of the C-130 cargo plane. However, as you can see, the bottom is converted to skis in order to land on ice sheets and unpaved ice runways in the Antarctic. This one was especially designed to transport cargo in order to resupply and refuel remote bases in the Antarctic. Of course, the United States military probably wants something like this in case they're staging some kind of Antarctic warfare against other countries. Other countries don't have this kind of cargo transport with ski retrofitting that allows them to quickly resupply their troops in remote tundra kind of destinations. Cool. Let's get into the next fact. Fact 2. Mostly Antarctic. So, despite the fact that this LC-130 is touted as an Arctic and Antarctic transport, it really doesn't go to the Arctic that much. And you could probably tell why. First of all, the Arctic ice sheet is seasonal. In the summers, the Arctic Ocean is simply broken pieces of ice that's not relatively stable for landing. And so, it doesn't really land in the Arctic. And also, the fact that the Arctic is fairly close to other areas of the control, such as Canada, Alaska, and so forth, and Greenland, they probably don't need to build bases in the middle of the Arctic. And you really can't, because in the summers, the ground, or the ice sheets, if you will, is gonna break apart, and there's no way to build a permanent base in that kind of situation. And so this LC-130 transport is really for the Antarctic, where year-round, the ice is always covering the continent and it's always very thick and hard so that planes can land. Whereas the Arctic, they have bases around in the actual land and not on the sea ice. So this is really only to resupply the Antarctic bases. Alright, let's get into the next fact. Fact 3. Navy to Air Force. A very interesting part about the LC-130 is that it really originated as a Navy cargo plane. The Navy, the United States Navy, was originally intended to resupply bases in remote Antarctic locations. And so it was the Navy that spec'd out and built this airplane by retrofitting it with skis and so forth so that it could land on ice and snow. However, the Air Force decided to take over. It is incredibly interesting. I guess they realized that the Navy really has no business flying airplanes of cargo and transport because the Air Force have entire wings and departments dedicated to resupplying and refueling remote locations. The Airlift Mobility Commands are designed for this purpose only. And with their expertise in maintaining C-130s, it makes total sense that the LC-130 should also transfer to the Air Force so they can maintain and continuously run these aircrafts with certified pilots to continue resupply the Antarctic bases. Alright, let's get into the next fact. Fact 4. Jet assisted takeoff. Another super interesting and cool feature of this airplane is the jet assisted takeoff that it has. Because as you can imagine, when trying to take off in thick ice and snow, it's very difficult to traverse through even though you have a lot of power on the four engines. And so with a rocket assist, it could really propel the plane enough in order to go to the speed necessary for takeoff. They really thought of everything. And it's probably from experiment and also experience that in Antarctic conditions, sometimes the snow is so thick, it really slows down the airplane as it tries to take off. So with the rocket assist it could really overcome this obstacle and be able to continue resupplying the bases despite heavy and inclement weather. The rockets are designed just to propel the airplane enough that it could reach the speed of rotation. Alright, let's get into the next and final fact. Fact 5. National Guard. When I mentioned that the Navy was the first ones to retrofit the C-130 with skis, and then they transferred it to the Air Force, well, guess what? The Air Force actually transferred it to the New York Air Guard. That is the National Guard of the New York State. And currently, the New York State Air Guard is actually the only organization that flies the LC-130. I think it's so interesting that the Air Force decided that they no longer wanted to continue maintaining and flying these missions and transferred it to the 109th Airlift Wing of the New York Air National Guard. Currently, all LC-130s are operated by them, and there are two versions actually, the LC-130H-2 and the LC-130H-3. It is incredibly interesting that the New York State was chosen to maintain and fly the only LC-130s in the United States military. They decided that this one particular airlift wing will be solely responsible for resupplying all the bases in the Antarctic. Alright, that's it for my video today. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.